underway here, and with a reverse grid, it has put the MacArthur brothers on the top pole position. Now, Dave, how are you feeling? Obviously, you've got your brother right in front of you, but you're not really a stranger to being up here.
No, I'd like to think not, no.
So what's your plans for the race going forth? Is there going to be a gentleman's agreement between the two of you?
No, look at him, no gentleman, is he? No, definitely not. It's Formula Ford, you don't really think too much about it. You get your head down, you go as fast as you can for 15 minutes, and that's it really.
How are you feeling with the weather conditions today? It has been heating up slowly.
Yeah, well, we went quite well in the wet yesterday. I think we're a bit closer in the wet, so it's a brand new car this year, so still figuring it out a little bit. See how we go, made a couple more changes, see how we go.
Brilliant, well, we wish you the best of luck. Right, well, we're going to hand it over to the commentator to run you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lindsay. So, who is going to win the sibling rivalry drag race down towards turn 1 between Tom and David MacArthur? Well, Tom starts on pole with David alongside him, then Neil McLennan crucially in third place ahead of Spike Colbecker on row 2, then James Clark and double race winner Ross Martin ahead of Brendan Lee and Michael McPherson. Jamie Thorburn and Aaron Jeanson make up the top 10 ahead of John Svensson and Morgan Quinn, followed by Pascal Von Bowen and Scott Huntley, Nicole Woods and Adam Quartermain. And the back row of the grid sees Jamie Sharp and Rory Smith, who retired from race 2 with mechanical problems. Again, another driver to watch as he won't stay in the last spot on the grid. He will certainly charge his way up through the field. So there's the view looking down the grid as the cars are in position, ready for the start of the race. It is Tom MacArthur on pole with brother David alongside. They were in that position both times in the Northern Formula Ford races. Let's see if they can possibly lock out the front row on the run down towards turn 1, or if anyone behind can get a great run to try and snatch the whole shot into turn 1. Lights up for race number 3 of the weekend at Anglesey. Lights out, and it's a great start from pole from Tom MacArthur. A slightly sluggish getaway from David, though. And Neil McLennan, who tried to get up the inside of turn 1, immediately finds his way blocked. As diving up the inside of his teammate goes James Clark on Spike Colbecker. Spike holds on for 4th place on the sprint in towards the banking for the first time. But it is a MacArthur 1-2, but it's Tom ahead of David, followed by Neil McLennan in 3rd place. Then the Cliff Dempsey twins, with Spike Colbecker ahead of James Clark now in 4th and 5th position. Ross Martin remains 6th, Brendan Lee is 7th. Then it's Michael McPherson ahead of Aaron Jeanson, as already we see on board with Neil McLennan. He's now fighting for 2nd place, looking to the inside of School Curve. A little bit of the outside line for the first part of Rocket, but if he can get himself in front, he can hit the braking zone cleanly before having to try and go around the outside. Under brakes into the complex, they're 2 by 2 behind the leader, side by side for 2nd and for 4th. But David McLennan loses out on 2nd place to Neil McLennan. Meanwhile, just behind them, we see Spike Colbecker fending off James Clark. Looking around the outside line, but he finds his way blocked by David MacArthur, who's trying to recover after losing the 2nd place he just held off the line. As Tom MacArthur heads into the corkscrew for the first time, now under pursuit from Neil McLennan in 2nd place. He knows he has to get himself into the lead and try and make up as many places as he can and get himself as far ahead in the lead as possible if he can manage it, whilst the guys behind him are battling in the championship are scrapping all over each other into the banking. Through the hairpin, side by side for 3rd place, Spike Colbecker looks around the outside lines to take the final podium place as Neil McLennan starts to line up Tom MacArthur for a move up towards the bus stoppers. Behind him, it's 3 abreast. James Clark is on the grass on the inside of David MacArthur. Ross Martin looks to the outside, and Spike Colbecker sees them all off and says, "See you later, boys. I'll battle in 3rd place, and you've got to scrap amongst yourselves." Well, take a breath for a second. That was a very fast and frenetic first lap, and we've got such a long way to go in this 15-minute encounter. As McLennan trying to get out on the outside line of Tom MacArthur, but he parks the Van Diemen on the apex of the banking as they exit through the right-hander. And now the sprint towards Church Corner for the 2nd time. We see Spike Colbecker there. I think he's waving to James Clark, saying, "Come on, go with me. Let's catch Neil McLennan and try and get the guys in front to take the lead." Now for Church Corner on the sprint through the School Curve and up towards the Rocket Complex again. The last of the late breakers at this rate, as here comes Ross Martin trying to dive up the outside, try and make a pass here. We see Tom MacArthur now about to lose the lead on the inside line for the first part of Rocket, and into the lead goes Neil McLennan with a very simple pass on the switchback. And now McLennan has completely cleared air now to try and pull away in the lead. And now Tom MacArthur's next task is to try and defend from the Cliff Dempsey twins behind him. We're seeing James Clark looking at the back of his teammate Spike Colbecker, staring at the gearbox, and the top 4 are pulled away already. There's a bit of a gap behind us. Michael McPherson now after the race with front damage, and that's Ross Martin walking across the shot. So Ross Martin and Michael McPherson have come to blows, and the championship leader and 3-time race winner so far this season, his win streak is broken, and also that means he'll have to drop this round as a drop score. Well, drama at the complex. We didn't see it on camera, but it must have happened just as we were looking at the fight for the lead. And immediately, because the cars are stranded up at the complex, the yellow flags and safety car boards are out. Safety car has been deployed, and everyone slows up to a reduced pace. Arms out in the cockpit. What a frenetic start that was, and dramatically, Ross Martin, while he will come away with 2 first-place victories and 2 first-place trophies to boot, he will not make it the perfect hat-trick this weekend after the collision with Michael McPherson. We did see there was a little bit of a gap behind the top 4. Wondered where the rest of the cars had gone, and that certainly was the answer to their whereabouts in that instance. There's the Mini Cooper safety car just at the bottom of shot, flashing through to pick up the race leader. Now that's a great start. Look at Jamie Sharp there in 5th position. He started on the back row of the grid in 17th place alongside Rory Smith, and he's already up to 5th position. So a cracking getaway for the former British F4 racer. He ran in mainly his own team, fighting up against the likes of Carlin and Arden and Double R and JRT. And he really has adapted to Formula 4 pretty quickly. Made his debut, of course, here at Anglesey in the same car that Ross Martin was driving before he retired just now up at the complex. And so, an incredible getaway. 6th place now for David MacArthur after starting on the front row of the grid. 7th place now for Brendan Lee. There's Rory Smith in 8th. Remember, he started in 18th place on the grid. There is Jamie Sharp. Replacement nose cone on that car. Not the same colour as his main paint scheme due to the contact he had with Brendan Lee after crunching into the side of him after Brendan Lee made contact with, I think it was Tom MacArthur. There is Michael McPherson, and there is a rather dejected Ross Martin walking back towards the scene of the accident. And there is Ross Martin's car just flashing through the shot. So, again, wasn't on camera, so we can only speculate that either McPherson was behind Ross Martin at the time of the incident, so possibly whether McPherson just snatched a brake or had to swerve to avoid somebody who was in the middle of the road who was also braking a little bit earlier than he anticipated. As a result of that, simply just lost control and potentially slammed straight into the side of Ross Martin's car. But again, we'll let the stewards work that one out and find out, if anyone, who was at fault for that incident. So what it now means with the order on screen, McLellan leads, Tom MacArthur in 2nd place, and it's Spike Colbecker 3rd, James Clark 4th, Sharp 5th, David MacArthur in 6th, Brendan Lee is 7th, followed by Rory Smith in 8th. And then we have 9th place, by the looks of things, for Aaron Jeanson. I think John Spencer's up in the top 10 at the base of that as well. Yeah, there he is, number 35 in the JRT machine. Morgan Quinn's 11th. It looks to me as if we've got Adam Quatermain and Pascal Monbaron, the Swiss driver, teammate to John Svensson, just on the fringes of the top 10 as well. A little bit of work here whilst the marshals and recovery crews go to extract the 2 stricken Formula Fords from the rocket complex. Praise as ever, of course, to our magnificent British marshals. Always hard-working, always tireless efforts, and they do it for the love of the sport and simply to make events like this happen. Without marshals, we simply couldn't put on events like this. We couldn't even go racing full stop. They are volunteers. They all do it basically gratis, for free. But they do a heck of a job, and they are one of the most, if not arguably the most vital part of a race weekend. So big credit to all the marshals who have had to cope with both wet and dry conditions this weekend so far. And in my humble opinion, British marshals simply are the best in the world. Absolute fact. They get trained to such a high standard. With an instance like this, Michael McPherson's car is about to be picked up by the recovery truck. And that's got a very sorry looking front right. So it looks to me as if possibly he's tried to avoid the incident with Ross Martin. Martin's car is further up the road, just on the inside of the grass verge into the second part of Rocket. But hopefully they can get the cars cleared away as quickly as possible. We can get racing back underway. Now, in this situation, of course, under a safety car, in the National Championship, there is a rule which states that if we do get a safety car, the first time we do so, the clerk of the course has the right to add an extra 5 minutes onto the race time, so it becomes in effect a 20-minute race other than a 15-minute race. We had it in race 1, we also got it here again in race 3, which means that we get an extra 5 minutes of running. It's a little bit similar to the rule that we see in the British Touring Car Championship, when if there's a safety car, they add up to 3 extra racing laps to make sure that it doesn't affect too much the length of the race and people can see pretty much a full race distance rather than watching half the race under the safety car. So a bit of a similar rule here in National Formula Fords. It means that the drivers and also spectators get their money's worth in terms of track time and racing action, as the marshals quickly scurry out of the way whilst the field makes its way gingerly past the safety car at reduced speeds. Of course, a slow enough speed that's safe enough for the marshals to work as quickly as possible. Here's the view from Neil McLennan, staring at the back of the boot lid of the Mini Cooper safety car. Not getting too close, because you can get a penalty for either being too close to the safety car or even being more than 10 car lengths back. So let's try and find that little balance of gap as much as possible. And of course, he has to try and hand back as much as he can once the lights go out on the safety car, because he eventually will then back the field up to get the race restarted once again. He will be the one to decide when he puts his foot down and gets the race back underway under green flag racing conditions. Speaking of conditions, beautiful weather here, of course, at Anglesey for this third race. The weather's been ever improving. It's in the background, the Irish Sea glistening in the background with just basking in beautiful Welsh sunshine. And as we say, it really is on the Welsh coast, and it's usually a driver's favourite. Usually we do get plenty of northern rounds here for Formula 4s, but the National Championship do appear here every now and again. But last time they were here was back in 2017, as we see a shot of Brendan Lee there in one of the other Kevin Mills racing cars in the field. Last time we were here in 2017, this man Neil McLennan was in the fight for the championship, and I believe he made contact with, of all people, I believe, Ross Martin. There is Ross Martin's number 11 machine being just loaded off the back, even helping the marshals. With effort, loading his own car onto the marshals, but fair play to him, just helping them out to give a bit of extra assistance and try and get the race back underway again. But he'll be ruining, of course, the fact that he's just lost some valuable championship points in the process. He'll have to work even harder to ensure he doesn't lose any more, because you only get a set amount of drop scores in this championship, and that will count as one of them being a non-score. And he was on course, if he had gone on to take victory, that would have been his 4th win in a row, because of course he took the second race at Alton Park. The win streak carried over in the first 2 races, taking victory in both, and then was possibly, if he managed to pick his way into the lead eventually at some point in this third race, could have gone on to make it 4, and he would have been by far and away the winningest driver in the field so far, because everyone else in the field who has won a race would only be on a grand total of 1 each. So Ross Martin will certainly try and add to that win tally the next time the cars are out. The next time they're out in action will be at Croft in North Yorkshire, back on the support package for the TCR UK Championship and the Dunlop Touring Car Trophy. So the cars again weaving from side to side, just making to keep as much temperature and pressure into the tyres and brakes as possible to ensure they're at optimum range, so that when we do get racing underway once more, they'll be able to be straight on the pace at 100% from the word go. Again, Neil McLennan just backing everyone up a little bit, just also the safety car slowing up a little bit, because I think they're just trying to allow as much time as possible for the marshals and the recovery teams to move the 2 cars which were involved in the accident away from the scene, which means that the quicker they can do that, the quicker they can get this race underway. So the safety car will slow things up a little bit more, just to allow a little bit extra time, an extra chance for these cars to be moved out of the way. It looks as though Michael McPherson's car has been recovered. I would imagine possibly so has Ross Martin's, and it could mean that we are set to get underway once again. Now there's the low loader with Ross Martin's car on the back of the flatbed pickup, which would suggest that potentially as soon as the rest of the remaining field has gone past the scene of the accident, they'll be able to drive it further into the infield and away from any racing action whatsoever, which means we hopefully could even have a good chance of getting racing underway this time by. We'll have to wait and see if the safety car can get us underway. There's the other recovery truck at the top of the screen, the big green recovery pickup, and that will have the slightly damaged Kevin Mills Spectrum race car on Mike McPherson. You can see it there, just hanging off the back of the car with its front wheels obviously tied to the back of the truck. And of course the car's moving past very slowly. This will mean that as soon as they're clear, which they look to be, we'll be able to move that car off the road. I think possibly we may be on for one more lap around the safety car, I think, because they need time to move those cars out of the way. So in terms of chances for race victory here, of course Neil McLennan, with that clear track in front of him before the race incident happened, had a chance to try and pull away as much as he could and take his second win of the season. In fact, he's now with the safety car. This brings back into play not only Tom MacArthur, who will still score national points, it also brings back into play the 2 Cliff Dempsey cars of Spike Colbecker and James Clark. Now, James Clark, as we know, hasn't won a race so far. Spike Colbecker has. He won the second race at Snetterton. He's in a prime position in third place, also under the safety car, because, of course, it's one of the best positions to be, because The guy in second is sometimes caught napping a little bit, so he's so focused on trying to catch exactly when Neil McLennan, for example, will put his foot down to restart the race. If he gets caught napping, Spike Colbecker will be looking at Neil McLennan to see when he goes. He'll have a much better chance to react to it and possibly even catch Tom MacArthur off guard. So let's see how that one works. So James Clark, of course, is in a possible contention in 4th place now to get a victory, provided that he can able to pick his way past the 3 cars in front as quickly as possible. That's easier said than done, of course. On board with Neil McLennan. Also, a dark horse could be for a strong result, Jamie Sharp. Remember, he started back in 17th on the grid, up to 5th now in the opening couple of laps. So a fantastic getaway for the former British F4 racer. And up in 6th position, still David MacArthur from the front race. 7th place also for Brendan Lee, one of his best results so far this season. He's had a very up and down start to life in circuit racing. Finished actually in his first race on the road in 4th position at Snetterton, but then a penalty for contact with another driver put him down to 10th. And he retired from the next 2 races with contact with somebody else in race 2, and then his car barely even made it off the line in race number 3. Had an up and down, fairly slightly quieter weekend at Alton Park, and again he's been sort of up and down in the wars here at Anglesey. That incident in race 1 which put him out after he made contact with Tom MacArthur and then was collected by Jamie Sharp, which put them both out of the race, I should say. So just heading out through the Rocky Complex. Now both cars, of course, have been completely recovered now, which means I would imagine we'll hopefully be able to get the remainder of what will turn out to be a 20-minute race, with the added on 5 minutes by the clerk of the course as per the regulations. Thankfully, a nice quick sprint in the final few laps to determine who will win race 3 of the weekend here at Anglesey in the National Formula Ford Championship. Is it going to be a second race victory of the season for Neil McLennan? Will we get a surprise victory in Tom MacArthur if we can try and find a way back through? Can we see Spike Colbecker pick up his second win? Can James Clark snatch a first? Can Jamie Sharp cause an upset and pick up his first victory, even a podium? All questions remain to be answered, but one thing we can answer is that the safety car lights are now out, and now watch Neil McLennan. He will slow the pack up even further. The gap between the safety car and the leader will start to increase substantially, because he wants to try and back the pack up as much as possible, bunch them all together, and then it'll be a case of trying to be as sneaky as possible. When can Neil McLennan get the jump on everyone else, either getting a better acceleration off the corner from the last 2 turns? Can he try and limit to false security by making a move? I think they might just be about to get racing underway very shortly. As just saw again, Constantining up behind the safety car as much as they can. Safety car is now pulling into the pit lane, which means that Neil McLennan has to choose exactly who wants to go. Still weaving side to side. We'll straighten up in a second. Back onto the racing lines to try and catch Tom MacArthur off guard. Not yet. He might try and do it through the final corner here. Takes a wide approach, and there he goes. He tried to catch him as much sleeping as possible as he could, but he couldn't quite do it, and across the line they go. Not long left in this third race after a lengthy safety car period, but now with a big oversteer moment, James Clark is chasing after Spike Colbecker. Neil McLennan leads the field back into the banking on the first race, and that under race the green flag conditions. And Tom MacArthur has actually gone with him on the restart. A good effort to keep with Neil McLennan. So Neil didn't get the biggest jump he wanted, because Tom and the rest behind him were as alert as they could be. And the top 5 trying to break away already on this opening lap. Out of Church Corner on the restart, through School Curve, the green flags fly around the circuit as everyone charges up towards the Rocky Complex. Now careful this time, boys, this is where the incident was before, and a big lock up for James Clark as he tries to get the car stopped and somehow anchors it up into the apex and avoids contact with Spike Colbecker. That will make Cliff Dempsey's heart stop for a second. Out of the complex at Rocket, there's Jamie Sharp, who's done very well actually to stay with them on the restart. He's on the gearbox of James Clark as they head up through Peel Corner. It'll only be a handful of laps because we've gone quite deep into the race already thanks to that lengthy safety car period. It's only around about our 4th lap under racing conditions and not under a safety car. David MacArthur's fallen away a little bit in 6th position. Up to 7th place now is Robbie Smith at the expense of Brendan Lee. Another snatched break there for James Clark as they turn through the hairpin once more at racing speeds. And Neil McLennan on this restart hasn't pulled away like he wanted to, because Tom MacArthur's shown that he has got pace, and local knowledge counts for a lot. Despite Colbecker tries to size him up for 3rd place, but up the inside line goes James Clark for 3rd place. Tries to catch his teammate napping, and he hasn't quite done it so far, I don't think. We'll have to wait and see. No, he hasn't. We're on board with James Clark. He has to sit back and look for another opportunity. But again, if these two teammates continue to scrap and squabble amongst each other, both McLennan and Tom MacArthur will start to pull away in front and gain a gap. So they have to either try and work together or be residing to third place whilst they scrap amongst each other. Out of the banking, through Church once again at racing speeds. Top 4 nose to tail. They're starting to leave Jamie Sharp behind a little bit now. On the sprint through School Curve. A tiny gap of about a car length now for Neil McLennan on the restart. As Tom MacArthur's up to come under pressure as the two Cliff cars again go into combat. And this time James Clark does look up the inside line of his teammate. Cole Becker may have to capitulate and forced to give up the position, but no. The young American using all his racecraft to full effect unless Clark can put himself alongside on the exit, which he can't. And again, this brings Jamie Sharp back into play in 5th position. One of his best performances of the season so far since he jumped into single-seaters in the Formula Ford category, fresh out of British F4. Adapted pretty well. And really showing just how much progress he's made as one of the Team Dolan drivers. In fact, he's the highest placed Team Dolan driver in the field now. Of course, we've lost Ross Martin. Of course, behind them will be Morgan Quinn and Adam Quartermain. Adam Quartermain, of course, is part of the Clubman contingent, along with John Svensson and Pascal Monbaron. They're scrapping over honours, especially with Adam Quartermain wanted to redeem himself after retiring from race number 2. But it looks to me as if we've got John Svensson in the lead of Clubman classes. Up the inside again for 3rd place went James Clark. Now, has he made it stick this time? They're completely out of shot for the time being. I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. So for the second time into the bus stop corner, James Clark made a dive up the inside to try and make a pass on Spike Colbecker. And for twice in a row now, Colbecker's had enough momentum and the right line to hold off and hold the position in these closing stages. Now the sprint again towards Church Corner. Not long left. He's going to roughly that possibly the last couple of laps now. And the top 5 possibly could be a top 6 at the moment. Because look at Rory Smith in the background in 6th position. He's not too far away. He might benefit if anyone starts to hit strife here. Back as a rocket once again. Look at how much Tom MacArthur closes back up under braking. He is not letting Neil McLennan get away here. Like we said, local knowledge counts for a lot. Tom also has a Northern Formula Ford race victory to his name this weekend. He could have been 2, but he made a mistake at the final corner in race 1, which allowed David to get through after leading practically the entire way from pole position. And now as they come towards the corkscrew once again for what I believe should be possibly the final time, he has a last-ditch effort here to try and snatch away a National Formula Ford victory. As on the grass on the exit of the corkscrew goes Jamie Sharp, bounced back onto the road. He made his 5th position as a result because Rory Smith was putting him under attack into the hairpin. But Neil McLennan's there, and James Clark up the inside for 3rd place finally. So after 2 attempts at the bus stop, he gets done a lap early, but there's contact between the two teammates. Well, I'm not sure what they'll think about that in the pit lane afterwards, but down towards the bus stop for the final time. Neil McLennan will try and hold on as he comes up through the final corner. MacArthur's pressed him all the way, but it's going to be too late. Up towards the checkered flag, and it will be Neil McLennan who picks up his 2nd win of the season and wins race 3 here at Anglesey. What a drama-filled, action-packed race that was, with McLennan winning, Tom MacArthur 2nd, Jamie Clark taking 3rd on the final lap of the race after contact. Spike Colbecker 4th, then Smith, Sharp, Lee, MacArthur, Jeanson, and then Svensson. Morgan, Quinn, with Adam Quartermain, Monbaron, Huntley, and Woods the top 15. Ross Martin, crucially, a non-score, and have to drop that later on in the season. Well done to our top 3. There is Neil McLennan heading onto the podium, and Lyndsay is now with the top 3 on the roster, including race winner Neil McLennan.
Massive congratulations, 2nd win this year, but still puts you where you started this weekend in 3rd position in the standings, so you must be happy.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's kind of been an up and down weekend for me. We started good in the first race, but then got caught up in an incident, so ended up finishing 11th in the first one. So started 11th today in the second one, got up to 4th, which put us 3rd for the reverse grid. So no, it's kind of come to an end good. So we're really happy.
Tom, congratulations, 2nd place. You must be feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. Wasn't expecting that after yesterday's race, so take it for now.
Congratulations, another 3rd, so you must be happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good, solid weekend, so it's plenty of points for the championship, which is something it's that consistency that we've been trying to find. Yeah, it's a bit frustrating because I think we had the pace to probably challenge for the win, but obviously the safety car ran on. I mean, well, yeah, all the marshals and sort of recovery crews did a great job getting the cars back, but obviously we had so much pace that it was sort of stifled behind the safety car. But we did all we could, and the car was amazing. So yeah, again, just thanks everyone at Cliff Dempsey Racing, Neil Bold Engines, and Ray Cars, and I've got to get it all in because I forgot to in the first couple. But yeah, I mean, the whole package has been great. So to be disappointed with 2/3 and a second is like, it shows that how good the package is.
Yeah.